Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Slay Squad call. I am so excited to be here tonight. You know, I've spoken on the National Wake Up Call. I've been blessed to speak at Summit. And I don't think I've spoken to like 500 plus people, Super Saturdays. I don't know that I've ever been nervous like I am right now. So I'm going to just feel free to take a big, calm, centering breath with me. Whew, and breathe it out. But my name is Jamie Shepherd, and I'm just about on my 10-year anniversary as a partner with this amazing company. Some of my personal stats: I'm a 15-star diamond. I get to lead and work with a 15-star diamond team. We have earned the Legacy Club, or 6-time elite. I was able to retire as a school counselor. But those aren't actually the stats I'm most proud of. I mean, I'm proud of them, but I am also an advocate and I'm passionate about animal rescue. I broke a lifetime of generational debt in the last 10 years. In the last year, I bought a 10-acre homestead in Vermont and moved all the way across country from Oregon with 8 rescue animals, which are now up to like 18 rescue animals as I'm kind of starting a new chapter of my life. I'm a trauma survivor, and I'm able to look in the mirror these days and know that the person I'm looking at, I can give her love and respect and confidence and empowerment. And I've been able to help over 10,000 people in the last 10 years change their life and get better and feel those feelings for themselves. And that is the biggest gift. And I think that drop in the bucket, that becomes this tsunami effect that I think it attracts a lot of us, right? Raise your hand if that's you. I love that in 10 years, I've been able to continue to grow and challenge myself, fail epically forward, sometimes flat on my face, and know that I have the tools, I have the community, I have the container in our company to get back up and keep going. I've gotten to start running, like living out my passions in animal rescue, and I run adventure retreats, wellness adventures, like yoga retreats, kind of on steroids. Organic, holistic, homeopathic steroids, of course. But it has been just a really big blessing. And I feel so honored that I get to be the speaker and the leader today. So if you, and more than anything, bring on someone who's been such an instrumental agent in my own life and my own health journey the last couple months. And we're going to get to that in a second, but I would love to know if you could just drop in the chat, how long have you been partnered with the company? Where do you live? Where do you reside? And anything you want to share about yourself. Why are you here tonight? Is it because you were just told this is the call for the week, or was there some sort of personal connection to this topic? And while you're doing that, I'm going to look through the chat. Like, I'll let you know that when I started 10 years ago, like, I can't believe that in August of 2013, like, we're getting up on my 10-year anniversary. Like, I had no idea that this would become this big shift in my life and my trajectory. I started out really just wanting to not have to wait tables nights and weekends. I was a full-time school counselor, full-time educator, worked 80, 90-hour weeks and was paycheck to paycheck. And I just was like, I need to break this cycle, right? Like, I need something else. I was dipping into a bucket that was way empty, and I was sick and tired, that sick and tired of being sick and tired, that was me. And so I was able to start building these little teeny goals, right? Replace my school counseling, my waitressing salary, and then match my school counseling salary, and then being able to like move and geographically go where I wanted to go. Hold on, let's get some music happening. Go ahead and check yourself. Okay. And so if you had told me 10 years ago, or even 2 years ago, that I would pick hormone health and psychothinking as my like topic of the year for the Slay Squad, I would have laughed. I had no desire to be talking in public or with anyone about my periods. And it was not really something that I had a lot of interest in, but things change, right? We get older. When I started this business, I was 33 years old. Now I'm 35. Just kidding. Now I'm 43 years old. See, just checking your math skills here. And we change. Biology changes in 10 years, right? Are you the same health, size, fitness, level of season of life that you were 10 years ago? Raise your hand if you were, because I don't think any of us are. Like, that's just the beauty and the gifts, sometimes the challenges, of aging. So we're going to play a quick little game. I would love it if all of you could turn on your cameras. I see most of you do. So that's like the hardest thing in the world is to talk to black boxes. So thank you for all of you who have your camera on, but put up 5 fingers. We're going to play a quick little game. So hold it up and put a finger down if you have never had a period. If you've never had a period, put a finger down. Okay. Keep it up. Thank you, Mike. Put a finger down if you have no clients who have ever had a period, who have never had a period. So if none of your clients have ever had a period, put a finger down. Okay. Put a finger down if you have never gotten stuck in your health journey or seen the scale go up or in the wrong direction. Put a finger down if you've ever felt like you don't fit into a cookie cutter box physically, nutritionally, emotionally, as everyone else. And put a finger down if you have felt a little challenged or uncertain on how to serve or advocate for yourself or your clients in their health journey at any point in time. Who still has 4 or more fingers up? Wave at me if you still have 4 or more fingers or 3 or more fingers. So that means you are in the right place. Because this isn't necessarily all about getting older or aging or perimenopause. This is about understanding who we are as women, who we are in our health and wellness as women, or if we're a man. Thank you, men who are here. I love it. Like how to serve and help the women on your client roster, right? So you're in the right place. I was taught, I'm a good student. I was very coachable. I think that's one of the elements of my success in this business and my joy in this business, but I was always very coachable. I did what I was told. I was always taught that fitness is our business. We have to be proof the products work. People are excited what we're excited about. Nod if you were told the same thing. Those things are true, right? Like that's not untrue. And I personally believe that our fitness programs, our nutrition programs, our supplements, our products, they're best out there. They're unrivalable. I love them. I advocate. I feel like I have integrity and I'm in alignment with representing and partnering with this company. And I'm so thankful for that. And that's why for years I've organized Shakeology surges and trainings. I'm the coordinator of the Collaborative Power Hour for the last 3.5 years. So if you've ever jumped on a collaborative, I'm of the mind that we have so much knowledge and value to give and share in our community. And that will only help us all grow and do better the more we can serve and advocate, right? I believe that there's knowledge, right, to be had in both hard and soft skills being those leadership skills, those teamwork skills, those self-confidence, and the hard skills being the how to sell, right? What are salesman skills, marketing on it, social, how to market ourselves on social media, and also in understanding and educating ourselves on the physical aspects, the biology that we have and that we're all facing, because that's just science. So I have really learned to internalize and treat this business like a business. I have really become a CEO in my own business. It's something I teach my team, is to be the CEO and to embrace a growth mindset. And I'm going to trust that you are able to put on your CEO hat and to discern what information here is essential for your own health, your own growth, what you can use to help other people, but also like what may not apply to you right now. And I'll get to that in a second. But we go through seasons, just like in life, and our business will go through seasons as well. And one of the things I really loved and appreciated and really needed when the first 4 or 5 years of my business, as I grew into, our team was elite our first full year, as I didn't have to go get extra certifications. I didn't have to go and get a personal trainer cert, and I didn't have to go be a nutrition certified person or get a nutritionist degree or an IIN cert or John Maxwell cert. Like I didn't have to go and collect all this knowledge. It was internal. We are so giving as a community, and the tools, the framework, the container is here that we can put up blinders and get to work and trust the process. That makes sense? So that if you're early on in your business and you're seeing growth, you're seeing results, and you're on that momentum, let that wind be in your sails. Let that growth be explosive, and be confident that your upline, your mentor has got you. And building that foundation first and foremost is critical. So I front load that because I'm going to talk about a cert that I got that really led me to wanting to do this call tonight. And the message isn't go get the cert. It is, I wanted to bring some of this knowledge that I learned back because I so wish that I had learned this back in 8th grade, the sex ed class, like, and even more, I can't believe I wasn't taught this as a teen or as a young adult woman. So all of that to say, these products and programs work for all of us at some season in our life. And for me, it worked for many, many years. I was the fittest and thinnest I was in my whole life. And then at one point, I started not seeing the same results. And I started getting frustrated and struggle. And I see coaches and I see partners of mine and customers and clients of mine see great success. And then they stagger and they struggle. And then they kind of stall out a little bit. Have you ever experienced that? Have you ever been in that place where you're like, this was working, what am I doing wrong? Or why did this person like get stuck? Or you start hearing from clients like, this isn't working for me anymore. So what happens then, right? What happens when we don't cookie cutter and it stops working a little bit? What happens in our mindset? Okay, because I know that can be confusing. It can feel really discouraging. It can trigger shame, guilt, frustration. Those are the things I've heard from my community, myself. Those are things I felt. So what happens when someone is experiencing that, right? Shame, frustration, guilt, even embarrassment, confusion. What happens next when they're feeling that? They may have imposter syndrome. Thank you, Michelle. Where do they go? How do they get through that? Any guesses? Yeah, hopefully they would plug into a call and a training and a resource. But what often, yeah, Maria hit it on the nail on the head. I think the message starts being said, like, I don't fit in here. This doesn't work for me. Maybe I shouldn't be a coach anymore. They quit. They retreat, right? Has anyone ever seen that? Raise your hand if you've seen that. I have. This doesn't work for me. And then you go find a shiny object or whoever's loudest on your Instagram page or whatever. And my message to you here, the goal here is tonight is to go like, yeah, there's always something here for you. There's always a solution and a path forward. Sometimes we have to take this beautiful container that has worked for us so well and go, okay, I got to dismantle it and rebuild it a little bit with some current updated information about myself. Does that make sense? Because I don't want anyone to think that they don't fit in, that they're not broken. And I also don't want you to internalize messages that you can like cheat age, or that you can hope your way out of hormone challenges, or you can't, we've all heard like you can't out exercise a bad diet. You can't work harder when your physical, emotional, hormonal, or mental health is struggling. And you can't wish your way out of getting unstuck. That's where we have to really commit to like being in that messy middle and know that like our path forward lives in this gray area that a lot of people aren't talking about. We're not shining the spotlight on, right? So, and that's where I want to like pull back the veil, and hopefully you take away from this call some knowledge, a baseline to start asking good questions of yourself, of your healthcare practitioner, of your habits, and to take inventory and go, okay, all of this is going to lead back to our programs, our products, our company, because Jenny and I love our company and our products and our programs. That sometimes we have to just give ourselves permission to come at it through a different lens, to come at it from a different approach, right? It doesn't mean you throw the baby out the bathwater. It means, okay, I've been going down this way. Now I'm going to take this highway. I'm going to take this detour and make this work for me. Because the commitment of a CEO is everything is figure outable. There's always a path forward. We see Carl struggles or he sees a challenge or roadblock. He's not like, oh, hold the cord on Beachbody. It's like, no, we're going to innovate. We're going to be flexible. We're going to find creative ways forward. We're going to change the conversation. So I love this, and I'm so glad that you're here. Part of it is like, so we have our personal development, and that's where we can really work on that mindset, that confidence, that internal, that self, right? But I also believe that PD, one of our vital behaviors, is professional development, is hard skills. It's understanding the framework of being a business owner, of sales, and also it's product development. And it's training around our products so that you, and we don't often have that at our fingertips. We have to like offer that to one another, seek that out. So all that to say, that brings me back to my story about a few years ago. We all went through a hard couple years. I won't say I won any prizes. I'm not seeking out prizes for who had it worse, but I did go through a lot of personal trauma, a lot of health issues, a lot of changes. And like, I don't know, I had a breakdown, like not a nervous breakdown, but like my whole body failed. My health failed, my adrenals failed. I was fighting depression. Like everything changed, and like my body just said, nope, no more. You've been in this survival mode for so long and we're shutting down. As you can imagine, like I felt a lot of anger and betrayal at this body that I had cared for and nourished and prioritized and taken care of. And then all of a sudden it's like, just kidding, we're 41 now, 42 now, and we're going to shut down. So what do we do when we get to that situation? I started having to go seek answers and seek solutions. And for me, that started at my functional medicine doctor and led me down a path the last 2 years to like start really looking at areas of my life and my health that I had just taken for granted. I thought I could always muscle through any hardship, or just, I was fit and I ate well, so I would just be okay. And that wasn't God's plan for me. So now I know that this is like just part of my next season and my next chapter, and we get to like pull back the veil for other people. All of that led to me meeting Jenny, who has been a coach for 13 years in the company. And honestly, our stories are so very similar. And I started recognizing that a lot of the stuff I was dealing with, like weight gain, belly fat, brain fog, energy, I would just like be flat out tired by 10 a.m. Like, I was fighting the scale all this, just all like I could barely make it through hard workouts, like all of these things. I'm like, who am I? And it was hard. It was humbling. And I was battling with migraines. And I was like going to my doctor, not my functional medicine doctor, but a normal doctor, and just being told like, whoa, let's get you a prescription for this. Let's put you back on birth control, and we're going to dig into all this. And I was like, I want to know why. Don't you want to know why this is happening to me before you give me these prescriptions? And I found that wasn't common sense. That wasn't what happened in my health experience, my doctor patient exchange, right? And so I had to learn how to become the advocate. Fast forward, I found Jenny, who is offering a certification in hormone health and cycle syncing, or specifically in cycle syncing, and helping me really understand hormone health on a deeper level. And I said, you know what? Like I said earlier, like I wish I had been taught this 30 years ago, you guys. But we're going to teach it to you tonight, a lot of it, and we got a lot to go in. I just really wanted to like lay that out there. I hope that was helpful, and I hope you're like all hands are up going, yep, okay, I see why I'm here, and you're ready to learn. So I'm going to pass the mic to Jenny to give our introduction and tell a little bit about her story. And then basically we're going to do like a guided Q&A. And I've gone through I have some questions prepped that we will go through. And then at the end, thanks, Becca. At the end, if there's time, which I kind of doubt we will have time, but at the end, if there's time, we'll do some live Q&A as well. So Jenny has been a coach or partner with Beachbody for oh my God, I'm failing with all the new lingo. Jenny Swisher has been partnered with Body for 13 years. She's a mom of 2 littles. She's been 140 months in a Success Club. She's never stopped building her business. 2-time elite, 6-star diamond, and has found this niche that really stemmed from her own health journey, learning how to be her own health advocate. And I'm not going to steal more of her story so she can tell it herself. And then we'll jump into some really juicy questions. Take it away, Jenny.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jamie and the Slay Squad, for inviting me here. I'm excited to get to it and excited to answer the questions and dive into the content. So I'll try to keep my story short. Yes, I signed with Beachbody as a coach 13 years ago, May of 2010. And at that time in my life, I was in a very, very dark place. My husband and I had just gotten married. We were high school sweethearts. We got married right out of college. And for whatever reason, soon after we got married, I started spiraling into what doctors called chronic migraine, where I had a migraine all the time. And we couldn't figure out what was going on. So you name it, I tried it over the course of about 2.5 years. I did Botox for migraine. I had anti-seizure medications. I saw 14 different neurologists and spinal specialists, 4 neck surgeries. you name it. Like I said, I've done it. And it was around that time that I was introduced to Beachbody, and I was introduced actually by a neighbor of mine who had a tagline on her email that said, "Ask me about the healthiest meal of the day." And so I was like, "Hey, what is this whole thing? Like, what are you talking about? What's your healthiest meal of the day?" And like I said, did I mention already that whatever it was, I was going to try it. Right. So I was like, well, maybe this shake will help. I was like, I will try anything, acupuncture, yoga, like you give it to me, I will try it. And she said, yeah, she's like, it's from the creators of P90X. Have you heard of that? Well, my husband and I had wanted to do P90X for quite some time. We had talked about it. We had friends who had done it, but we totally thought it was a scam in the beginning. So we're like, is this for real? Like, what is this? And so long story short, I signed up originally with Greenberry Shakeology and P90X DVDs. Truth be told, I spit my first Greenberry shake down the garbage disposal 13 years ago. And that's how my story with Beachbody started. So I started really as a customer. Technically, I had enrolled as a coach, but I didn't really know what that meant at the time. But I started down this lifestyle journey as I was also navigating the chronic pain. And if you have ever been in chronic pain, or if you know anybody who deals with chronic pain, they will understand when I say that for once in a very long time, I found something that would distract me enough from the headache. And that was P90X. It was like, it was a new challenge. It was hard. It was pain in another way, right? Like holding those wall squats, like 90 minutes of yoga. Like if that's intense. So for me, it was like, this was a good distraction from the migraine pain. So I remember I finished my first workout, and my husband and I joke now that we should have just popped popcorn and watched it, because we were so like, we were just in awe of everything that was happening on the screen. We were like, we'll never be able to do this, right? Like, this is so crazy. And I remember walking away from that hour-long workout thinking, oh my gosh, for the first time in literally 2 years, I wasn't thinking about my migraine. I wasn't thinking about my headache. So long story short, the home fitness world became my new distraction and my new obsession circa 2010. So I got really into it. I started doing lots of other programs, got really into coaching, started meeting people locally, and started learning more about the business. And I remember one day I was on a walk with my yoga instructor, who is my good friend, Jen. And I said to her, I was like, Jen, I'm like, look, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I can't keep going into doctor's offices for these migraines. I've found a medication that will work enough to help me get through the day. It takes the edge off. I think I'm just going to carry this pill in my pocket. I remember I pulled it out of my pocket on this walk with her. And I said, I'm just going to start carrying it in my pocket every day. And I'll just take it in the morning so that I can survive the day, because I feel like I'm ruining my marriage. I feel like I'm ruining my career. I had to have the fluorescent light knocked out above my cubicle at my corporate job. I felt like I was just living in this dark hole. And so for me, exercise and nutrition became this thing that I was excited about. It became my focus and my distraction, but I was still very much miserable. And she looked at me and she said these words, which are hugely impactful and a huge part of my story. And that is, she said, you can't give up now. You're your own best doctor. You are your own best advocate. And I said, well, Jen, I've sat in every office. I've looked for my Dr. House. For those of you who are familiar with the TV show, right? I was waiting for my Dr. House to be like, you have mold in the gutter. Like, that's the solution, move houses and your headaches will go away. Like, I was looking for that. And I didn't realize at the time that I was so out of tune with my body, my menstrual cycle, my hormones, everything, that I was really getting nowhere in meeting with doctors. So I started a different path. My friend Jen encouraged me to see a functional medicine doctor after I had seen 14 different neurologists and spinal specialists. I laughed at her. I said, oh yeah, okay, like none of these specialists have helped. I'm sure a functional medicine doctor will help. But I did it. I took the advice. I went down that avenue, and through working with that practitioner and really getting a better understanding of my hormones, my life completely changed. I was taken off of all the pharmaceuticals that I'd been put onto. I was given a regimen based on my individual imbalances and deficiencies. And within 3 months, I was migraine free. So but all this was happening at the same time. I was pressing play on workouts. I was learning, like Darren O'Lean was very much in my life. Like, I was doing the ultimate reset, like learning things about myself nutritionally, also learning these things about myself hormonally. And so this was all happening at the same time to create this beautiful harmony of what would become what's now, right? And I like to say, my mentor tells me, I heard this on a podcast 3 years ago. He said, you're most qualified to serve the person you once were. And I had to hear that like 7 times before I finally realized that, like, the person I once was a woman who dealt with chronic pain, with migraine, with hormone imbalance, with infertility. And that's just a lot of that territory is just not talked about. Women don't talk about their periods. Women don't talk about the struggles that they go through with painful periods, migraines, etc. Maybe this is what I meant for. Maybe I am meant to be a person who stands up for this and sort of pioneers the space. So that's sort of my backstory. But in 2017, I was introduced to Dr. Stacy Sims. And if you're not familiar with her name, she is the author of the book Roar. She also wrote a book called Next Level. I took her course, Women Are Not Small Men course. She's also known for her TED Talk called Women Are Not Small Men, but she is a leading female physiologist in the space of cycle syncing, in the space of women's health and how female athletes should train and eat. And I don't know if you guys have heard this before or not, but 6% of fitness research is done on women. So she is literally like the person who's saying, hey, wait a minute, like we need to stop with the clinical studies on obese men, and we need to focus more on including women in research. So I'll say this briefly because I know Jamie and I are going to talk about it, but when researchers are asked why so much research has been done on women, and that goes for the healthcare in general, it also goes for fitness and nutrition, researchers say women are too complex because of their hormones. So a lot of times in the past, women have been left out of the research until now. So as I like to say, when you know better, you can do better, right? When we start to learn more about the female body and what we should do, then we can say, oh, well, that makes sense. And I believe women have an intuition. So coming back to my story, I took Stacy Sims' course. I also have recently gotten my integrative health practitioner license. So to me, this is my passion zone. This is where I really want to be able to help women on a deeper level. But I want to just chime in on what Jamie said earlier. For me, it has been stair stepping. It has been stair stepping through this process. I have a very similar story to Jamie in that my first goal in the business was I want to hire somebody to clean my house. Like, I just want to get to the point where I have somebody to clean my house. And then I think I was a 2-star when I decided, I think I'm going to get my personal training. I think I want to go for that. I want to learn more. I'm going to go for that. Then it was nutrition. Then it's slowly developed into this. So this has been 13 years of me really just investing in myself and my skill set development, and not necessarily something that's required. It's just a journey, right? We're all on this journey. So anyways, that's my story. That's where I'm at now. In 2020, I realized that there were a lot of things culminating. I had owned a gym for a short period of time, about 5 years before my oldest daughter was born. And during that stint of time, I trained both male and female clients. So I was doing personal training, small group training, and this theme kept popping up where men would come into the gym, they would commit to 90 days, coming in 5 or 6 days a week. A lot of times they would tell me, I don't need a copy of the meal plan you're handing out. You know, I don't want the shakes. I eat what my wife makes, you know, I'm just here for the workouts. And the women would come in and they would take the meal plans and they would do them to a T, and they would drink the shakes and they would do the workouts and they would do all the things. But the transformations from men were just incredibly different from the transformations from women. It didn't mean that women weren't seeing results and getting better energy. But sometimes, a lot of times I would hear from these women that they felt like they were doing all the things, and yet things weren't working quite to the degree that they wanted to, right? And so I had that same experience. I had dealt with doing all the things, right, and not seeing results as far as health was concerned. I knew from my own hormone journey that the one thing that makes women different from men are our hormones. So that led me to really wanting to become a total nerd in the space of hormone health. Not only because of my own story, but because I was seeing other women struggle with it too. And I knew that this is just something that's not talked about. So that's kind of where I originated in 2020. I threw out the idea to my social media. I had run challenge groups. I still run challenge groups. I've run challenge groups for 13 years, every single month. But in 2020, before the pandemic ever happened, I thought, you know what if I ran a group where I just shared my migraine story and I shared my hormone story? And so I put it out into the universe, and 64 women initially reached out on my post. And I knew from just that one post, I was like, this is something that needs addressed. Like, this is something that women are struggling with and they need to hear more about. So it started with just me running a challenge group, sharing my story, sharing my struggles, sharing what had worked for me. And soon I turned those videos into a course and all the things ever since then. So that's kind of my story leading up to where I am now. But I tell people say like, oh, you're an integrative health practitioner, you're a certified trainer. I'm like, yes, but 90% of what I've learned has been through unfortunate lived experience and just from the struggle that I've had on my own. So that's what led me here for sure.
I love your story. It's just funny. It's not funny, but like, I love just how the parallels are. I was telling Jenny today, she's my favorite search engine. So I'm excited for us to dig into the meat and potatoes of this call. We believe that competence raises confidence. My goal for you to come away from this call is to have this like through the roof level of confidence that you know where to go on your health journey and how to lead people on theirs. That's just infinitely more exponentially greater than when you hopped on here tonight. So let's get started because we have a lot we really want to cover and we're halfway through our time. So Jenny teaches about the four-legged chair of hormone health. I'm one that loves to learn in analogies and metaphor, and so this one really stuck with me. So Jenny, will you break us down? You guys, if you don't have something to write on and take notes, go ahead and make sure you grab that because you're going to want to write this down. Let's talk about the four-legged chair.
Yeah, so I learned best in analogies too. And one thing that I learned really quickly was there are a lot of experts in this field that are incredibly hard to understand or dry or very sciencey. So I wanted to find ways right away that I could translate this so that women could grab it off the bottom shelf, right? Like, let's make it easy. So the four-legged hormone chair is what I teach. I'll give you an overview, okay? So it's very simple to understand. You're picturing a four-legged chair, right? You have four legs of your endocrine system chair. One is your cortisol leg. That is your fight or flight, your survival response, right? Your cortisol produced by the adrenal glands. You have your sex hormones, which most women know, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. There's also FSH, LH, but sex hormones, right? Regulating your menstrual cycle. There's your thyroid, which is, you can think of your thyroid as your thermostat. And there's also your blood sugar. So those are the four legs of your hormone chair. What happens if I were to take a saw and saw off just an inch of one leg of the chair? What happens to the whole chair? The whole chair becomes wobbly, right? And so this is what I want women to understand. It is very crucial for you to understand your unique situation as it pertains to hormones. Not everyone is imbalanced, but we do know that 72% of women will endure a hormone imbalance at some point, if not before perimenopause, then during perimenopause. So it's important for you to understand if you are dealing with some sort of imbalance, what leg of the chair is most affected that's causing that whole chair to wobble. The most complicated thing about hormones is that you can have symptoms of something that could be either high or low. You can feel wired but tired, and that could mean high cortisol, or it could also mean low cortisol. So I like to say test, don't guess, right? Which is a whole other subject. But really understanding that all of our hormones, all of this entire endocrine system works together, affects each other, that's really important to know. One of the most important things for you guys to take away from this tonight is, for women in particular, people will say, they'll ask me all the time, like, what are the most common causes of hormone imbalance? Well, I believe in root cause medicine. I believe in root cause approach. So I like to say, okay, well, if we scale it all the way back, we go all the way upriver to see what's causing a lot of hormone dysregulation. Most of the time, the top two reasons for hormone imbalance issues comes from either cortisol and stress or blood sugar regulation. And guess what? Those two things work in tandem with each other. Your cortisol and your blood sugar oppose each other. When you're in stress, it affects your blood sugar. When your blood sugar is dysregulated, it affects your stress. So both of those things, when you ask me the question, I always get the question of like belly fat. Where does belly fat come from, especially in perimenopause? Why do I all of a sudden have this belly fat? Well, belly fat comes from, most of the time, from adrenal, blood sugar, both working in tandem with each other, okay? So we see this happen in, just as an example, because I know you're probably thinking like, well, what does this look like? This can happen anywhere from someone who is, struggling with weight loss, somebody who is what we would consider overweight or obese could be dealing with this issue, but we also see this happening in very fit women. We see this happening especially in women who are in sort of an underfueled category, which I know we'll talk more about. But this is important for you to understand. The four-legged chair is very important to understand. Here's another thing that you should know. Your cortisol is number one, right? Your body is going to prioritize survival over reproduction. So when our cortisol is impacted, whether that's from fasted workouts or from underfueling, right? Or whatever the case is, from just stress in general. Maybe you're going through a divorce, right? And cortisol is always high. Like you're always in that state of stress. You're in that sympathetic state when we need to be in a parasympathetic state more often. When that's happening regularly, right? That can really be a problem for everything. It can affect your menstrual cycle. It can affect those other legs of the chair. Did you know that your cortisol actually will steal from your progesterone for survival? So your progesterone is a vital sex hormone, right? It comes into play after ovulation each month. It's your female fertility hormone. It's what keeps a pregnancy. It's also what allows you to burn fat in your luteal phase, which I know we'll talk about. But if you are dealing with a cortisol, what we call a cortisol progesterone steal, you could be essentially wreaking havoc on your menstrual cycle. So stress affects the menstrual cycle affects blood sugar affects thyroid. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's all interconnected, and it's important to know where your weakest leg of the chair is if you're dealing with a weak leg of the chair. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect. And we will come back to this in a couple questions when I know a couple people expressed concern, like, only doctors should be teaching on this topic. And like, what we want the takeaway message to be is like, you take this and go find your information, because there is no one size fits all solution to this. And just the whole point of it, which can also be a little discouraging, because sometimes I just want a one size fits all like fix, right? Don't we all? So, okay, let's move on to the next question. Talk to me like I'm that 13-year-old, 12-year-old eighth grader in sex ed class that never got this education. Explain the menstrual cycle to me, but then also let's like ramp it up and like help us understand in each phase what our nutritional needs might be, what kind of workouts we like. Maybe let's kind of dig into what cycle syncing actually is. But I mean, that's a big question. So
yeah, so let's start with the 4 phases of the menstrual cycle. So first of all, some people say 4 phases, some people say 2 phases, and you'll understand when I answer this. So over the course of your cycle, you have different things that are happening to your hormones, right? Female hormones are ebbing and flowing, they're rising and falling, hopefully, right? And so whereas a man's a steady state, right? Like you can test my husband's hormones today and tomorrow, they'll probably be pretty similar. He's not ovulating, he's not having a period, it's steady. So with a woman, we have these fluctuations. And by the way, as a side note, a lot of times I find that struggles in our relationships, struggles with the way we're feeling, a lot of times we don't make the connection between our hormones and what our hormones are doing, right? So that's just something to remember. But when it comes to the 4 phases, okay, so let's talk about a textbook 28-day cycle, which no one has. Almost no one has a textbook 28-day cycle, but yet that's the only thing we're taught in school. So in a textbook 28-day cycle, the period is day 1. So when, like, I know for me, I'll ask women, well, what day of your cycle are you on? And some women don't understand what that means. The first day of your cycle is your first day of your full bleed, right? So as soon as you start full flow, that's day 1 of your cycle. So this is your menses, this is your period. This is obviously, you know when it's there. It's no surprise that you're like, okay, this is obviously my period. This is when your hormones are rock bottom. So your estrogen and progesterone have dropped, which have signaled an inflammatory response in the uterus, which has caused the uterus to then shed its lining and the corpus luteum from the follicle that was produced the previous month. We're going to come back to that in a second. So your bleed is what starts your cycle, essentially, right? And every woman has different. Some women bleed 1 day, some women bleed 7 days. Everybody is unique. So that's considered your period phase, your menses phase. But soon after, we start to see a gradual rise in estrogen. And as estrogen rises for what we consider to be the first half of your cycle, this is the follicular phase of your cycle. So I want you to think of follicular equals estrogen. Okay, so estrogen is rising. One thing that we do know about estrogen is it is anabolic. So this is a great time of your cycle to be doing more heavy lifting. This is actually when your body is more like a man's. Okay, so we know from all the research on men that lifting heavy is good with this type of hormonal situation. So then what happens is your estrogen rises, FSH, which is your follicle stimulating hormone, your LH, which is your luteinizing hormone, they trigger the follicle, which is, by the way, that your follicles have been in development for 100 days. So all of a sudden it's like one follicle's time to shine, right? Like, and your FSH and LH is like, it's your turn, Tommy. And he's like, super. And he comes up and he decides, okay, it's time to ovulate, at which point you've entered your ovulation phase of your cycle. Ovulation phase is very, very brief. I don't know about you guys, but in sex ed in 8th grade, I was taught that you could get pregnant anytime. In reality, you can really only get pregnant during ovulation. Okay. So it's usually less than 36-hour window of ovulation. This is when hormones are at a peak all-time high. Equating this to workouts, because I know you asked the question about cycle syncing, so this helps as I'm going through. when you are ovulating and your hormones are at an all-time high, a lot of women will express feeling fatigued in their workouts. They'll feel like they're trying to push hard, but for whatever reason, they did that same leg day last week and they crushed it, but for whatever reason, ovulation, it feels harder. This is because your body can only really do one thing well at once. This is why in the personal training world, we teach that you should not eat a huge meal right before you work out, because if you do so, your body is trying to figure out, like, am I pushing for a workout or am I digesting food, right? There's too many things happening at one time. So with ovulation, hormones are at an all-time high. This is a great time of your cycle to actually do more active recovery. Slow it down, let your body ovulate, help your body feel safe. And then after ovulation, we enter the longest part of the cycle, which is your luteal phase. Your luteal phase is where your progesterone is the dominant hormone. So I want you to think luteal equals progesterone. Progesterone is a catabolic hormone. So progesterone allows you to have more tolerance to high intensity interval training style workouts, right? So you can burn fat easier with progesterone on board. So in the luteal phase of your cycle, if we were to actually look at a chart, you would see where ovulation is a huge spike. After ovulation, there's a dip, right? So there's a dip in estrogen as progesterone comes to save the day and protect that potential pregnancy. As progesterone is rising, this is the part of your cycle where it's great to be in those catabolic training workouts, right? HIIT style workouts. But then as progesterone starts to drop and everything drops again in preparation for your period, which is where we started, that's where we need to slow down as women. And we need to slow down into more mobility, active recovery, yoga, low impact bar, Pilates, all that kind of stuff to support the hormone drop. So hopefully that makes sense, right? But we have early luteal phase, which is progesterone is high, late luteal phase, which is progesterone and estrogen are bottoming out. So we could relate this. I could go through and we could spend an hour talking about how your creativity and your productivity is impacted by highs and lows of hormones. We could go on and on about how to cycle sync nutrition with the different phases of your cycle, because that's important too. There are certain foods that help with estrogen detox. There are certain foods that help boost progesterone. There's certain, there's such a world of this, but just know that there are 4 main phases, but your period is brief, your ovulation is brief. Follicular is the first half, equals estrogen. The second half is progesterone. That's your catabolic hormone. Does that help?
Yeah. How about you guys? I'm seeing in the chat. It sounds like everyone's nodding. Okay. Talk to us about the 5th vital sign.
Yeah. So oftentimes people will say, like, well, what's the first step? Right. And so let me just say this as a disclaimer. You cannot cycle sync your way to hormone balance. I'm going to say it again. You cannot cycle sync your way to hormone balance. You also can't cycle sync your way to fit, right? The reason I say that is because if I were to just hand you a 28-day calendar and say, here, this is a cycle syncing calendar, and then you were to be like, okay, and then you follow it to a T. If you don't understand if your body's ovulating, when your body's ovulating, when your body is moving from that estrogen phase to progesterone phase, like, you need to know all the markers. So I find that most women know when their period is because it's very obvious, but they don't know when their ovulation is, or they assume that they know when ovulation is. They assume that, well, I have a period, so I must ovulate. No, you can actually have a regular period with no ovulation. Okay. So all that to say that we really need to be focused on ovulation and understanding if and when that's happening for us. You can track ovulation through basal body temperature. You can track ovulation through mucus charting. There's lots of things out there now. My husband and I came out with a saliva microscope to help women track saliva patterns, because believe it or not, your saliva changes around ovulation. If you have a 28-day cycle, 26 of those days is bubbles, and 1 to 2 days, it actually turns into a beautiful snowflake on a window pane pattern, like big ferns looking. So you can track saliva, you can track basal body temperature, but if you're really wanting to take cycle syncing, like, seriously, you can't just apply your general, full month or whatever for your menstrual cycle to a calendar. You have to know when ovulation is. Here's why. If you don't ovulate, progesterone doesn't rise. Progesterone doesn't rise. So if you start working out and you're like, well, I should be in luteal phase, I should be in that progesterone phase, and you start doing that high intensity cardio and you think you're cycle syncing, you're not. You're working against your physiology. Does that make sense? So you need to really understand and make sure that those highs and lows are happening for you. that make sense? So ovulation is the fifth vital sign. Dr. Laura Briden is the person who coined this phrase, that too many women are just out of tune with their ovulation. So if you take nothing else away from this, tracking your periods is great. Tracking ovulation and those patterns that you see with ovulation, mucus charting, basal temperature, or saliva, all really great information for you to know.
And okay, so for folks, so we're going to talk a little bit about like the next step, which would be going to talk to a functional medicine doctor or how to advocate for yourself at your general OBGYN. But if someone's wanting to I just want to make sure people know okay, they're leaving this call and they want to take that first step into understanding how to partner our amazing workouts, but maybe rearranging the calendar a little bit to optimize their phases of their cycle. But the first step is you have to understand your cycle. So we can track saliva patterns, we can track our basal body temperature, we can we can also, I know someone just mentioned too, there's we have a mucus, a kind of a slimy discharge that happens around ovulation. Are those the primary things, or is there anything that we're missing that would help us understand how to chart our own cycle? That question makes sense?
Yep. So the way I like to equate this is with a road trip analogy. So my family likes to go to Hilton Head Island every summer. It's our happy place. We live in Indiana, so it's about a 12-hour drive. Scratch that. It's a 14-hour drive with kids. So 14-hour drive. So we like to divide the trip into so that we can stay somewhere overnight, right? I want you to think of your overnight stop as your ovulation. So most of you know when your last period was, so you need to take note of that. And then once you start tracking for ovulation, whether it's through any of those methods that Jamie just mentioned, that's your midpoint. So ovulation is the midpoint that determines that progesterone rise. So before ovulation is follicular. That's what we mentioned, lifting heavy. After ovulation is progesterone, which we mentioned is more HIIT style workouts. You still can sprinkle lifting in there, but it's just not as much as follicular phase. And then the week before your period, usually about 4 to 5 days before the period, we want to taper down to prevent injury and mobility. So once you kind of have, if you're looking at a map, right, and you're like, okay, where's my halfway point where we're going to stop overnight? That's your ovulation. And once ovulation has occurred, it's time to move into those more luteal phase style workouts, etc.
Perfect. And I just want to reiterate, she already said this, but I see a lot of chatter. Your cycle is your cycle. Mine happens to be 27 days. Becca and I were talking today, hers is 25 days. And sometimes it might not be consistent. And that's something to talk to your doctor about. But don't worry if don't have a 28-day cycle. If your cycle is 40 days, that's your cycle, that you still find the midpoint on that. So real fast, because I really want to dig into our last couple questions, but let's talk through if someone's wanting to go to their doctor and advocate, because I know for me, I was told after getting my IUD out and going through all this work and then having to go to the doctor, and she was like, well, if you're having these symptoms, different doctor than my functional medicine back in Oregon, she said, well, let's just get back on birth control. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So I know how to advocate for myself, but Jamie of 10 years would have been like, okay, sure, let's just get back on birth control. So what is your advice here?
Okay, so my token phrase that I say every hour of every day is normal is not optimal. So it's been my experience to have the same sort of situation happening. And I don't discredit traditional doctors. There's a different way of thinking between most traditional doctors and a functional medicine approach. That doesn't mean that all functional medicine doctors think a certain way. It doesn't mean all traditional doctors think a certain way. Obviously, there's flexibility in those things. But I do find that more often than not, I hear the same story of my doctor just told me it's normal. My doctor just told me it's just perimenopause. It's just part of aging. I did lab work and my lab work was normal. I hear this all the time. And so just know that normal is not optimal. And you want to find a practitioner who's willing to sit down with you and help you figure out what optimal is for you. So I have an OBGYN I see every year for PAPs, that kind of stuff, right? But she actually will defer to my functional medicine doctor when it pertains to my own bioidentical hormone replacement, when it pertains to my supplements, because it's just not something she was trained in. And she's very happy to say, this is not something that I'm knowledgeable about. This is not the way that I've been trained. Please see your functional doctor for that. And so I think it's important to know that If you feel off, you feel off. If you feel off, you feel off, right? And so I think a lot of times we can put authority into a doctor's position because they've had schooling. We think that they might know better than we do, but at the end of the day, you are living in your body every day. And so if you feel off, and it doesn't have to just be a migraine, right? It can be anything. It can be low energy, brain fog. You feel like you're struggling sleeping, or you're waking up during the night, or whatever. If you're being sort of brushed aside as, oh, that's just perimenopause, or that's menopause, or that's age, or whatever, that's when I hold up a big flag and say, find a new doctor. So it's okay for you to step into your own self-advocacy. I mean, I think the more and more women start to learn and what I call become more hormone literate, so that's the phrase that I use, as we start to step into this and understand our bodies more, you then are able to go into those appointments so much more confident, because then you're like, wait a minute, this is how it's supposed to be, but this is how I'm feeling. And, you know, this is sort of a side note, but it's important to mention. Most, if not all, I should say all, lab ranges. So when you guys get blood work done with your doctor, right? Lab ranges are determined by, normal is determined by the wide pool of people who have that test done. That goes for men, women, healthy, unhealthy. So that's why a lot of times when you look at those lab ranges, normal can be something 0 to 500. Right? But I don't know about you, but I don't want to be just in 0 to 500. I want to know, like, what is ideal? What is optimal? Okay. So it's okay to push back a little bit and be like, can you help me explain if this is optimal or not? There's, you know, there are plenty of doctors sort of pioneering this space. It's not just me speaking up about it. There's, you know, Dr. Sarah Gottfried, Dr. Lara Bryden, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, Dr. Stacy Sims. There are tons and tons and tons of people, you know, doctors speaking out saying, hey, this is can be considered a gaslighting issue in women's health, that women are being told they're normal when in fact they feel off. So my encouragement to you would be, if you feel off, if your energy is low, find a new doctor or push back a little bit, but it's not okay to not be okay.
Preach. I say amen to that. Okay. So I think I want to skip, just looking at time, the question about just our polar opposite women on the spectrum, but maybe we can weave it in or come back to it, because I really want to make sure we talk about our products, our supplements, our programs. Like, how do you keep this in our container, but help break this down based off of individual needs and individual like seasons and situations?
Yeah. So, okay. So first of all, let me just say this. Okay. And I wish that we had a little bit more education behind like the awesome supplements that we have. For example, I teach and advocate that women should be prioritizing protein. Too many women are under eating protein. I just did a podcast episode on this about most women are averaging 40 to 60 grams of protein, when in reality, that is way undershooting. That's like a third of what they should be eating. So this, you know, beach bars are a great pre-workout or post-workout snack. Recover, Shakeology. Like, we have so many tools in our arsenal that give you, yes, they give you that protein, but they also give you so much more. Like, the nutrient density in Shakeology is exceptional, right? And so this is something that I talk about. I mean, I'm not here to say anything. There's no cure claims whatsoever, but I'm just here to say that a lot of the ingredients that are found in Shakeology, you can go out and find like hormone health experts selling just maca, like literally maca supplements for libido, for, you know, to support the adrenals, Schisandra, ashwagandha, all the different things that we see on the ingredient label in Shakeology. You can go find hormone health experts selling those individual things, right? And so again, not here to say that, you know, one way or the other, but I'm just here to say that like there is some powerful nutrient density in Shakeology. We also know women of all ages should be consuming 20 to 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of exercise. So especially after heavy lifting, but anytime you're doing anything zone 2 or higher, you need 20 to 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of exercise. If you're post-menopause, increase that to 40 grams. We know that women after menopause have higher protein needs. Okay. Recover checks that box, right? So right there, your Shakeology, your Recover, and your beach bars, that's 50 grams of protein a day. So a lot of women will say to me, well, how do you get all the protein in? I'm like, well, by the time I eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner and have those supplements, I'm there, right? So we have such powerful tool. I mean, our supplements are legit. Like, this is where it's at. this is where, I mean, I think personally, this is where we need to be pushing, right? Is understanding and getting better education behind the ingredients in our products. But the workouts themselves, I mean, obviously I think I've done every single possible Beachbody program. I'm not a dancer, so not the dance workouts, but I've done so many, and the programs are incredible. And what I've learned is there's a different style of training behind each program, right? So sometimes you'll hear phrases like time under tension, or you'll hear phrases about eccentric contractions. Like every workout and every trainer has a different style. So what I would encourage you to understand is once you start to figure out, okay, this is the phase of my cycle that I'm lifting heavy. These are the phases of my cycle that I'm doing more mobility, active recovery. We have a literal library full of thousands of workouts that fit that. Oh, I'm getting ready to start my period. I need more mobility and active recovery. I think I'll do the MBF mobility day, right? Or I think I'll do the Amala has great mobility stuff too, right? Like the work, the prep, all that stuff, the mobility stuff that he has, incredible. Oh, it's the first half of my cycle where I really need to lift heavy. Great. We have a whole slew of strong body classes. We have boot camp classes. We have so many things that are in that wheelhouse. So I know that we are very calendar conditioned, you know, as body coaches, but I also think it's important to know and pay attention to your unique body. And I think sometimes we can get, I mean, at least Joan and I were just talking about this, like sometimes we can get stuck in wanting to check all the boxes, right? And as opposed to really listening to our own energy. So I would encourage you, like, learn the cycle syncing thing, but also start tapping into your own energy and ask yourself the question, is this workout that I'm about to do going to give me energy or deplete it? And we as women know. I mean, if you guys knew how many women message me every day asking, like, I'm supposed to do this, but I feel like this. Well, if you had to tell me that, you have the intuition to know what your body should be doing, right? So I would encourage you, yes, work smarter, not harder. Pay attention to your body. You are not in a steady state of hormones every single day. You are not meant to feel the same every single day. So once you start to harness that, you can find the workouts through bod or body that hit where you are in your cycles. And you can really it's just looking at it through a different lens for sure.
I love that. I'm so glad you mentioned Shakeology and the adrenal support and the adaptogens. I think that's really important. How many grams of protein? I know you like how many grams. I didn't know this until I took your course or started listening to your podcast. Like how many grams of protein should I be consuming if I was to like go to a macro level?
Yeah, so Dr. Stacy Sims endorses 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, and that is for your ideal body weight. And I always like to lean.
Not your high school body weight.
Yes, I was going to lean in. I always like to lean in and say your ideal body weight is not your high school weight. It is based on your BMI. You can go to Google and search body mass index or BMI to see what your healthy range is for weight. 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight in that range, in your healthy BMI range. That's the goal. So a lot of women are under eating protein. We haven't talked about healthy fats, but healthy fats is huge too, like making sure that we're getting a lot of healthy fats.
What is your recommendation around healthy fats?
With healthy, so hormones come from cholesterol. Okay, so that's something that a lot of people don't understand. So we've kind of become ingrained in our society to go for like the low fat or the low carb diets, right? We hear about these things all the time. When we restrict too much of a macronutrient, we can get into trouble. So we actually need all 3 to survive. We need protein, we need carbs, and we need fats. As women, we do have a higher requirement for healthy fats because of our complex hormones. So if we're under eating in the fat department, we can actually be underserving our hormones. Does that make sense? By just not consuming enough good cholesterol. So I'm an advocate of, I'm an anti-dairy person. Dairy is very sensitive to me, and I've found it to be very sensitive for like 80% of my clients. So I don't advocate dairy as a healthy fat source. I advocate avocado, hummus, avocado oil, coconut oil, olive oil. Like there's lots of healthy versions of healthy fats that a lot of people are missing. So I try to get some sort of, serving of healthy fat in each meal. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But that's super key. Protein and fat typically are under consumed.
So if those of you on so the Portion Fix and 2B are like great, they're great containers, right? They're the perfect way to help us understand how to eat healthy. And as we're learning to follow our intuition, you didn't have to tell me 8 years ago that I needed more than a quarter of an avocado a day. So listen to yourself and honor that also, but that would mean 2B mindset is adding more protein to your meals, upping that, possibly adding more healthy fats, but that doesn't get really limited with, with 2B ultimate portion fix, adding those teaspoons, those blue containers, etc. So I know we're at time. There's been a lot of questions. We're not going to be able to get to all of those, but I do want you to talk a little bit about energized or focused energy boost in terms of, I want you all to understand the products we do have. We've talked about Recover, Shakeology, Beach Bars, a little bit about our programs and nutrition programs and fitness programs, but what about, I know you talk a lot about those two products too.
Yeah. So really quickly, I do want to just say, as it pertains to the protein thing and following the nutrition plans, right? I'm a big fan of bumping up a bracket. So I've told all my clients for years, especially female clients, it's okay to bump up a bracket. Here's why. And we didn't explain the why. And I find that women apply when they know the why. So when, you have to think about yourself as a female athlete. If you're following our programs, if you're working out at home, Dr. Sims says that if you're exercising 4 times a week or more, then you are considered a female athlete. So we need to be fueling like a female athlete if we are training like that, right? So this is why it's really important to have pre-workout fuel, post-workout fuel, because coming back full circle to talking about that 4-legged chair, if we're under fueling ourselves, our body goes into a state of fight or flight, especially as women. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to stop reproduction. It's going to say, we can't ovulate this month. Like, this girl is under fueling us. We're not sure we're going to get food. What, I'm just giving you sort of like a personable approach to this, but let's just say like that's what's happening. Your body goes into that sympathetic state, and then it can hold on to the fat. This is something that Dr. Sims talks about a lot. So it's actually very common for women who train to be in a state of underfueling, to be in a state of low energy availability. Quickly, I find that I work with one of 2 types of clients. I work with somebody who is extremely sedentary, working a corporate job, overweight, obese, needs the approach of cutting back portions, needs the approach of moving their body more. But I also have the client who is someone who is training 4 to 6 days a week, who is very active, maybe a mom on the go, right? There's stressors in her life too. That woman might need to be fueling more. And so if you're feeling stuck, I realize it's opposite of what you think, but a lot of women will say, well, I'm doing all the things I used to do and nothing's changing. It could be that your body's requirements are changing. Your body is now requiring more food, especially as you enter perimenopause, especially if you're a training female. So we want to avoid LEA, which is low energy availability. And I find that because of societal pressures, diet trends, all the things, we end up saying, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, shouldn't I just eat less and work harder? And actually you're working against your physiology to do that. So that's where that comes from. I want you guys to understand, right? So bumping up a bracket could be what you need. It could be that your body is just requiring more fuel. So, okay, you asked me about focused energy, energize, all the things. I'm a fan of it all. I also love first thing, last thing. I could go on and on about this stuff, but for me, this is the one thing that I see in my coaches and in my clients is an overuse of energize. And I know, like, you liked me until now, but energize is literally like, it's so good, right? It tastes so good. It gives you the energy boost. It's great for the workouts, but I advocate really just sticking to it once a day. Like, use it for your pre-workout. Try to not become reliant on it. I just had a client today tell me, like, she saw me do a live stream somewhere and she's like, I've been consuming that like 3 times a day because it literally keeps me awake. And I was like, that's when we need to address something. Like, if you're feeling that fatigued, we can't just push through with that caffeine and that beta alanine. So huge fan of it. Clean product, obviously, great for energy and focus, but also intended for your workout and not necessarily to keep you alert and focused throughout the day. So I like everything that you just mentioned. I like all of our boosts. I use the greens boost in my shake every day too. All these things are great, but you have to beware as a woman too of caffeine intake. And so too much energized, too much coffee, all that kind of stuff, but it all impacts hormones.
All right. Well, I know we're a couple minutes over. Thank you for hanging in with us. I think Jenny and I could talk about this for hours more, but we're going to be honoring of your time and we're going to stop it here. So hopefully you've got the foundation of the 4-legged chair. You've got just a general idea of how to start paying attention, like Zoom. it does take some work. I was a little annoyed, but I'm like, this is going to be so much work. I have to start paying attention to all of these things. Like I get it. If you're like, this is annoying. I felt the same way. So, but now I feel like I feel kind of like a badass knowing like what's happening in my body. And I felt like a twinge when I woke up this morning and I was like, oh my God, I'm starting my cycle today. Sure enough, I was. And so it's kind of fun to know, to be able to just be really in tune with our bodies. I think that's what we learn. That's what we teach. That's what we, try to create that community where we're helping women and men and helping people do that. So Jenny, thank you so much. I know you guys have so many more questions. Feel free to reach out to Jenny on her social media, tune into her podcast, or reach out to me on Instagram or on social media. We're more than happy to answer questions. But start with that four-legged chair, prioritize that self-care, and let's see where we can go with this. I think that you're going to hear more and more and more about this topic. It's just, everywhere I look on social media, this is a hot topic, just like gut health really became a buzzword a couple of years ago, like for good reason, right? And the competence raises confidence and that teaches us all how to self-advocate. So thanks, Jenny. Thank you for everyone for hopping on, and talk to you soon. See you at Summit. Yay.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.